Hello and welcome everyone, this is Netherdawn. Now I'm making this video to answer a question that I often get asked by new players. Which mech should I buy first? Now there's a short and a long answer to this, but we're gonna start with the long answer first. Now the most important thing to think about when choosing your first mech is your playstyle. For example, do you prefer getting close? Or do you prefer keeping your distance? Do you prefer being a slow but heavily armored mech? Or would you rather be a light and fast mech who can run circles around his enemy? All of these things can influence which mech is suitable for you. Now instead of going through weight classes, I'm going to go through roles, as mechs from different weight classes can often fulfill the same role at varying degrees of effectiveness. Now people often separate roles into three different categories: scouts, combat mechs, and support mechs. But I like to expand that a bit more. For 5 roles: the scout, the harasser, the striker, fire support, and the heavy brawler. Now the scout is the fastest mech on your team. The role of the scout is of course to scout out enemy positions, report their movements, threaten the enemy base, and possibly be the first response in case your base is being threatened itself. This role is usually filled out by light mechs, but can also be fulfilled by a Cicada or Centurion D, because they have very high top speed despite being mediums. Now, while the scouts have speed on their side, they are usually not as well armed as the rest of their mechs of their team. A good example of this would be the Spider. While all Spiders have amazing agility thanks to the amount of jump jets they can equip, none of the Spiders can really equal the loadout of any other light mechs. Now the next role we're going to talk about are the harassers. The harassers are fast mechs. They are able to flank the enemy with their long range weapons. A good example of this would be the Cicada with PPCs. He's able to quickly flank the enemy, get a shot off, then duck back into cover without exposing himself too much so that he's not at a risk. A lot of light mechs can also fulfill this role, or even fast heavies such as the Teleport or the Dragon. And now we come to the fire support mech. Now the fire support mechs have high firepower and are usually very slow. You can find them in the second line right behind the brawlers. Popular mechs for this role includes the Catapult, the Jaeger mech, and the Stalker. Now this is arguably the most popular role right now, as the current meta game encourages the sniper playstyle, which the fire support mechs excel at. And finally, we have the heavy brawlers. Now the heavy brawlers are slow, close range combatants characterized by their high armor, average to high firepower, and their average speed. These guys are the front lines of your team. They can take a lot of punishment while dishing it out themselves. So we're going to start off with the light mechs. Now the light mechs you have now are the Commando, the Spider, the Jenner, and the Raven. So I want to give a special shout out to the Commando 1B. It is a mech that's often bought by new players because it is the cheapest, and they think, oh, it's the cheapest mech and it's the lightest, so I should start with this and work my way up. Which is wrong. You can buy any mech you want. You are not restricted. You can buy any mech you can afford. And with the 25 cadet bonus matches, you can afford any mech as long as you do your 25 matches. So don't buy the 1B. Well, buy it if you want to use it, but don't buy it just because it's the cheapest. But let's go through the Commandos right now. So the Commandos is currently the smallest mech in game, or at least the shortest. I'm not sure if the Spider is smaller, but I'm pretty sure it's shorter. The Commandos have a nice mix of energy and missile hardpoints, meaning they can equip medium lasers along with streaks and SRMs, which is a good combo. Next we move on to the Spiders. Now the Spiders are famous for being the most agile mechs just because of the amount of jump jets they can equip. The Spider 5V can equip 12 jump jets. He's the bloody ninja of lights. But he can only equip 2 energy weapons in his center torso. So indeed the Spiders aren't as heavily armed as their light brothers. Here we move on to the Janus. Now, the Janus is probably my favorite of all the light mechs, just because they carry so much firepower in such a small package. The Janus F in particular can carry 6 medium lasers. that can possibly core a guy from behind in 2 alphas. It's one of the few mechs that really scares the shit out of me. So next we have the Ravens. Now the Ravens is a bit of a unfortunate thing because the Raven 3L can equal the speed of the other lights. You know, at 137 being the biggest engine, and with speed tweak can move up to 152, I believe. But the Raven 2X and Raven 4X cannot equip as big as engine. On top of that, only Raven 3L gets the Guardian ECM, which makes the 2X and the 4X very weak in comparison. So if you're gonna get a Raven, I would recommend the 3L. So, which light mech you should get? I would recommend the Genis, any of the Genis, though I do lean towards the Gen F, just because of the amount of fire it can carry. It has jump jets and it has speed. The other Genis are also just as good, but maybe not the Gen K, though the Gen K may get something special in the future. I would also recommend getting the Raven 3L, but it might make new players rely too much on ECM. So I suggest starting out with the Gen F and learning how to pilot a light mech before moving on to the Raven 3L, or you might just stick with the Gen F. There's nothing wrong with that. It is one deadly light mech. It gives me nightmares. So moving on to the medium mechs. Okay, so here in the medium category we have the Cicada, the Centurion, the Hunchback, and the Trebuchet. So starting off with the Cicada. The Cicada is currently the fastest medium mech we have in game. They are great light hunters because they can almost match up to a light speed and they can carry a bit more firepower. And most variants don't really have much in their arms, or if at all. So the arms pretty much act as shields for the center torso. Next up we have the Centurion. The Centurion is the best all-around medium mech you have. Good speed, good armor, good firepower. You can't go wrong with the Centurion. The Centurion A in particular has my special recommendation for new players, as it can teach you a lot of things, which I shall elaborate later on. So now over here we have the Hunchback. The Hunchbacks are characterized by their large right torsos, which usually carry a majority of their weapons. Except for the 4SP. The 4SP has weapons evenly distributed throughout its body. Therefore, it does not have the weakness which other Hunchbacks has, which is if you lose that right torso, you're going to lose a lot of your firepower. And lastly, we have the Trebuchet. The Trebuchet is usually played as a fire support mech, but you do have speed on your side as well. And some variants, the 5J and the 7N, come with jump jets, so they can do pretty well as the striker role. So, which medium mech you should buy? My personal recommendation is the Centurion A. Good speed, good firepower, good armor, and it can teach you a lot of things. For one thing, it teaches you, since it has an arm with a lower arm actuator, it teaches you to try and differentiate the different reticules on your screen and to learn that they can both fire separately, as well as an arm can turn faster or it can turn more than your torso. But even if you lose your arm, you still have most of your weapons in your center torso and your side torso, your SRMs and your medium lasers. So the thing about this is the Centurion is really hard to hit in its center torso. So a Centurion is ungodly hard to take down, especially if it's running a standard engine. The left arm does not have any weapons, but it acts as a shield. You see that plate right there and the plate right there. The left arm is a very good shield. This could teach you to twist your torso in order to take the brunt of the damage in that arm. So learn how to do that, and the Centurion A will bring you to glory. So the other medium mech I recommend buying is the Hunchback 4SP. Again, nice amount of laser hardpoints, missile hardpoints, and not having the glaring weakness of the other Hunchbacks. Again, you run a standard engine on that, and even if you lose one side, you still have your other side. And you don't lose as much weapons since you have one in the head. It's a good all-around mech along with the Centurion A. Though I do recommend the Centurion A because that has all the weapons you could have. All weapon types, the ballistic, energy, and missiles. but not enough to equip the bigger weapons in each category that require a bit of learning to use. So yeah, the Centurion A is my recommendation for the medium mechs. Right, so moving on to heavies, we have the dragons, the catapults, the Jaeger mechs, and the cataphracts. So we're going to jump into the mech lab because I have one of each heavy, so I'll be able to show you guys what they are like. So over here we have the dragon, and I'm sure you'll notice the huge center torso. It is quite easy to hit this center torso even from the side, and because of that and the relatively small side torsos, you'll more often than not be running an XL engine. Many people also build dragons as a mobile sniper, since that center torso will just be easier to hit at brawling range. So large lasers, gauss rifles along with the speed to match, it's quite effective. The dragon is currently the fastest heavy you can get, can easily reach up to 100 kph with a big enough engine. So let's move on to catapults. Now 3 of the 4 variants of catapults have LRMs in the ears, or arms, we like to call them, and they have amazing torso twists. The one glaring weakness though, that cockpit, it's huge. It's very easy to get a headshot on the catapult. I'm more partial to the direct fire variant from House Kurita, the K2. It replaces the LRMs with PPCs. So let's move on to the Jaeger mechs now. The Jaeger mechs are the ballistic platform. The DD variant especially has 6 ballistic hardpoints. You can equip 6 AC2s. Now another nice thing about the Jaegers is that their arms do not have lower arm actuators, so you can fit an AC2 on them. And because unlike the K2, which has the ballistics in their side torso, but this has it in its arms, so you can easily equip 2 AC20s and still afford an XL engine. So you have decent speed, good firepower on the double AC20 Jaeger. Just take care of that side torso or pretty much the whole of your mech, because Jaeger mechs don't really have a lot of protection in terms of armor. So last but not least, we have the cataphracts. Now the cataphracts are exceptional brawlers, but the 3D stands out because it owns jump jets. It is the only cataphract with jump jets, which makes it quite an effective jump sniper. The jump sniper build for the 3D is a very popular build, but the other builds are nothing shy, with enough ballistics and laser hardpoints to dish out a lot of punishment. Personally, I'm quite partial to the 4X, despite being a slower variant. At most, it can only move at 59 kph, even with the biggest engine, but it has 2 ballistic slots in each arm. That's a lot of hurt. So the build I like to use with it is the Super Quad 5, 4 AC5s, 2 medium lasers. XL engine though, so you gotta take care of the side torsos. Now, which heavy mech should you buy? Simple, the K2. You can just do so much with it. Just take care of that cockpit. A close second would be the Cataphract 3D. Two ballistic hardpoints, 4 energy hardpoints, and the option to put on jump jets. Can be very flexible and very effective. Now let's move on to the assaults. So with the assaults, you have a choice of an Awesome, a Stalker, the Highlanders, or an Atlas. So let's start with the Awesomes. The Awesomes are the fastest assault mechs you have in game. In particular the 9M and the Pretty Baby. They can reach up to 80 kph with a big enough engine. Now all Awesomes have a good amount of energy hardpoints. In particular the 8Q with 7 energy hardpoints. Though all other variants do have a few more missile hardpoints. Now as you can see, the Awesome has a very huge profile. It is very easy to hit the Awesome from the front, but it has equally huge arms, and you can use those arms as shields if you torso twist. It also has amazing torso twist speed. So let's move on to the Stalkers. The Stalker can currently equip the most number of weapons in game. Up to 10 I believe. Yes. Though the downside to it is that stalkers aren't the most agile of mechs. They can't climb as well, they have slow torso twists and not much torso twists. But the 3F does alleviate this problem some such, as it has more torso twists than its brothers. They do make effective long range support mechs though, being able to boat LRMs, PPCs, lasers. Now let's move on to the Highlanders. The Highlanders are unique among the assaults because they are able to equip jump jets. A very common build you see is Gauss Rifle and PPCs on a Highlander. Though the 733C is able to equip an AC-20 because it loses its low arm actuators in the right arm. The 733P replaces the ballistic hardpoint in the hand for more energy hardpoints, so you can equip about 4 PPCs on that. So let's move on to the Atlas. Now the Atlas is currently the most heaviest mech you can get in game. They make very effective heavy ballers as they have a ton of armor. The DDC in particular has the advantage of ECM. Now, which assault should you get? Now, this is a special case because assaults are not very easy mechs to play. Because they are slow and tall and make easy targets, you need to make effective use of cover. And being caught out of position in assault is a death sentence. You can't do takebacks like you can in mediums or lights or even some heavies. So I do recommend avoiding the assault as a new player. So if you have to go for an assault, I would recommend the Atlas DDC. Though really, if you're gonna go for an assault first, be patient, learn how to actually play an assault. You're not gonna just rip through all the smaller mechs just because you're in an assault. No, you need to learn how to pilot it effectively. So that's the long answer. The short answer, I would get, as a new player, the Centurion A. In fact, the Centurion A was my first bot mech. It just teaches you a lot of things you need to know as a new player. In particular, how you have different reticules for your torso and your arm weapon. How you don't need your limbs to survive. How to effectively use your arms as shields. And you can just do so many builds with it. You can of course do a short range build with medium lasers, SRMs and an AC2, but you can also drop that AC2 and some SRMs for a longer range build, maybe with an LRM or a Gauss Rifle also. And it has a decent amount of speed no matter what kind of engine you put in. So all in all, the Centurion A is the... If you haven't decided what role you want to play or you're unsure what mech you want, get the Centurion. You can't go wrong with Centurion. I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions or topics you want me to make a video about, let me know in the comments. Or stop on by my stream at twitch.tv/netherdawn. And I will catch you guys later.